How's it going out there, TV watchers and comic book geeks? It's Mr. Dark Phoenix and Spider-Man back with the Comic Stand for a really special episode. This is the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 1, aka the pilot, episode review. This show, I was excited for it. I've read a lot and researched a lot about it. And while I watched the show, I realized some stuff and I picked up on a lot of things. So I just wanted to bring it to you guys here. This is going to be spoiler free for the most part. If you haven't seen the show, you can still watch the review. I'm not going to go into heavy details about what happened. I still want you guys to watch it and then come back and talk with me about it. But for the most part, I'm not going to mention any spoilers like, you know, oh my god, something's going to happen, or oh my god, Sam Jackson shows up. That doesn't happen. But just for the most part, it's going to be just a little nitpicks of things that I found, what I expect in the future, and then in a future video I'm going to make what I expect further on. But for now, let's just get started with Agent Coulson's coming back. He's already back. He's basically, we don't know what's happened, and that's some kind of a mystery element to the show, because his whereabouts are secret, quote unquote. Only he knows where he was, but we are led to believe that something else happened. I mean, this is S.H.I.E.L.D. we're talking about, so maybe they did something to him, maybe they didn't. We don't know, it's only the pilot, so that's going to be discussed in future episodes, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that twist, because I would love to see what they're going to do with that. But let's talk about this episode. It keeps the Marvel humor that we all know and love. The humor is still there. And that's really good, because a show like this, especially made by Joss Whedon, because he's amazing and all the shows he does are amazing, it needs to still keep that movie humor to keep the fans in. So I feel like the humor will bring in fans, new fans, but the fans like myself who are very religious when it comes to the movies will be very happy to see that they haven't lost that edge that they have in the humor department. Basically in this first episode they're going to literally mention everybody. Everyone's name literally gets mentioned so far. We've got, well, the man in the flying suit, the god, the super soldier, the, you know, other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and they're literally all mentioned in like the first couple of minutes of the show, and so on and so forth. So that's where those mentions come from. I'm not too sure how they're going to work them into the show, if they ever will be mentioned in the show, but I feel like the show wants to be its own thing for now, which brings me on to another point. Will Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. take the Smallville route, where it will be its own story of sorts, and then later seasons will it jam-pack heroes and villains into it to further boost up the storyline, which can be a good idea. I'm not sure if I would want to see that up front, because a lot of things that I've said about this show was that the show is going to basically be used to bridge all the gaps and basically knock out any and all origins that need to be said that can't be explained in the movies. One of the reasons why the Avengers did so well was because you had the Iron Man movie, the Thor movie, the Captain America movie, and Nick Fury and Black Widow were in Iron Man 2, so we basically know who everybody was as a full circle. So when they got together, it was basically like, I'm this person, such and such, we're done. Go straight to the action, start with the story of us as a whole instead of working separately. So what I feel like the show is going to bring to the table is a lot of mentions, a lot of more maybe possible cameos from other Marvel heroes. But that depends really on the rights. I know Marvel has this, so that's basically, we've got our Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, or Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Sam Jackson. But as for future cameos, it all depends on what Marvel unfortunately has the rights to use and what has the rights to do. Although they do mention something from another movie. They mentioned two movie things, actually. I'm not going to tell you what they are in case you haven't watched the show yet, but it's adding a little bit of spice to what they're pushing their limits of what they can use, which is what I hope will eventually lead to a more open cinematic universe, both in the movies and on TV. Which actually brings to another point where this takes place during the movie universe. So basically they're behind the scenes, and they'll take care of lots of smaller stuff and, you know, work their way to their own bigger problems. But then when the movies come out, when all they have to do is basically say, hey, look, here we are, we were from the show, so we can work our way from that. But that's what I'm liking about the show so far. I'm appreciating a lot of other things. One more thing is locations are endless, technically, because if anybody remembers in, I believe it was one of the Iron Man movies, they mentioned on a map Atlantis and Wakanda. So maybe they actually could go with the Smallville route and introduce Namor or introduce Black Panther on the show or their locations, because what wouldn't be more dramatic than scenery, a new scenery underwater or in Wakanda, to introduce Black Panther and then introduce him to the movies. I'm not too sure if they're going to be using the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel movies. It's in the same universe, so I don't see why not. I'm not saying they're going to get their own little spotlight, but just, you know, when they're in like a S.H.I.E.L.D. base or when they're communicating, they would just show them doing what they have to do and then going on about their business. So that's really not a bad idea to use, actually. You know, just introduce all the characters you like to see. They introduce Tigra and Vision and all this stuff, and especially with other Marvel movies coming out like Guardians of the Galaxy, are we going to be introduced to anything space-wise? Or are we just basically going to stick on Earth for now and just basically let later seasons go on about it? But I'm just going to talk about all that in a later video, so stay tuned for that. But I like the show. I really do. The pilot episode really grabbed me. A lot of action, a lot of story, a lot of hidden controversies are coming up, and only later episodes can tell what direction they're going to go in. But I'm basically seeing this show as the background for the movies, just basically so that we are just like, hey, we don't have to take care of any origins when we get to the movies. Now we can take care of everything else. I don't see the show being bad. It's Joss Whedon, it's ABC, it's Marvel, so basically what this show is going to do, in my opinion, is basically show us and introduce us to a lot of little smaller elements that are going to be a lot more, that they're going to make a lot more sense in the bigger picture. You know, like if they introduce other characters, other scenery, then when they get introduced to the Avengers, it's like, hey, we already know who you are, so we don't have to worry about your origins. We know who you are, and then we can just go on from there. And Agent Coulson does what he wants in the show, if you can't already tell, because he's Agent Coulson. You know, you come back from the dead, you're allowed to do those things. So we have to keep focused on that. But another good thing about this is the technology that they use, and technology can be another added effect of the TV show. We can get introduced to all kinds of new technology. We can be introduced to what S.H.I.E.L.D. is exactly capable of. And the best part about this being a TV show, not a full-fledged movie, is because we have weeks and weeks and weeks and seasons and all this time to be introduced to other agents and other technologies and maybe even other things that we can use. So far, the only other villain organization I can think of that can be used is AIM, because of Iron Man 3, but there's no mention of that. This is me with my predictions again, so we'll just have to see where it'll take from there. And basically, we've got our twists and all that stuff, and all that stuff happened. So that was the first pilot review. I definitely say watch it if you're a fan. Definitely watch it. Basically, this is going to bridge the gap for you, where regardless, even if you have seen the movies, you haven't. Being connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is an honor, and basically you guys are in for a really good treat. I definitely give it a thumbs up. I definitely say watch the show and stick to it. Set your DVR, set your TiVo, set it after a day after if you have cable, and then they'll have it on demand, or you know, catch it on your tablet for whatever, however you watch your shows or whatever. But I'm definitely giving Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a watch because it's really good. This has been the pilot review. I'm going to be back every week with a new review for each episode as we go along, and we're going to be going through this together, both of us, so you guys can have a seat on my bed or on my couch with me as we watch the show, and then we can talk about it, okay? But this has been Mr. Dark Phoenix and Spider-Man with the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic stand, and we're going to catch you guys next week. Please give me a big thumbs up in the comment section and leave me a comment saying about what your theories are. What do you think the show represents? Do you think I could be right about anything or anything else like that? But please leave me a comment below or talk to me on Twitter. All those links will be in the down bar. Geek out and enjoy your lives, everybody, and I'm going to see you guys next week for the review of Episode 2. Thank you guys so much.